to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Yeah, that's right. This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty Enter Talk Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in music business talk and your voice to the music industry. We are brought to you by some really good friends, some great friends over at our awesome company, Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. You know, make sure you go over there and check them out because Calvin and his crew and Adam and the guys, they are really out there for the musicians. They really make it happen, and they've got some great gear. And, you know, that's one of the companies that we're going to have on today. Ultimate Ears is our guest today. And I want to welcome Brian Young. Brian, are you there, sir?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing well. Actually, it's Brian Geller. Brian Young actually is an old guitar player of ours in the Atomic Punks. David Lee Roth. But no, this is Brian Geller.
I'm sorry, Brian. You know what? I went through the emails looking for a last name, and I didn't see one, so I went in and typed in Atomic Punks, and it came up with a Brian. I just automatically assumed it was Young.
No, that's a really good Brian to be confused with. He's a great player and does a lot of good things, and we were happy to have him be a part of the band. I mean, I do, you know, you said the Atomic Punks. We've been doing a tribute to classic Van Halen for about 22 years now, and Brian was guitar player number 2 in that band, and he was stolen out of our band from none other than Diamond David Lee Roth. So,
you know, if you're going to get stolen from a band, you know, from a singer, that's not a bad one to get stolen from. So, I apologize about confusing the names.
The interesting thing is he was the second guitar player that Dave stole from us. He actually took number 1 guitar player, too. So, little side note for you there.
You know what I think you guys need to do is you need to steal Steve Vai. That's pretty much what I think it requires at this moment. You know,
well, interestingly enough, we're stealing one of his old bass players for some upcoming gigs we have in December. So that maybe it doesn't quite even it out, but it gets us a little closer.
That would be very cool. Yeah, we just actually had Billy Sheehan on air with us a couple of days ago. Pitbull Audio had a big Billy Sheehan clinic. It was packed out. And, you know, speaking of all the, you know, the Van Halen offshoot group. So, but, yeah, man, not only are you on in the Atomic Punks, which have been just a huge tribute band that, you know, when anybody mentions tribute bands, you guys are at the top of the list of the best. So I want to congratulate you on that.
You.
But one of the other gigs that you have is a really cool gig, and what we like to do is spotlight gear companies that are revolutionary, the ones that are really, you know, doing it out there. And there's a company called Ultimate Ears that we talked about that we put this together because Ultimate Ears had a clinic over at Pitbull Audio. They were doing some earbud fitting, and and you work for that company. Let's kind of start off with the beginning, man. How did you get connected to Ultimate Ears?
Well, interestingly, it happened kind of by accident about 6 years ago. It coincides with when I got the gig to join the Atomic Punks, and what was going on was these guys were playing twice as much, sometimes 3 times as much as I was accustomed to, and playing every weekend, 2 nights, and I wasn't used to it. My voice was shot, you know, trying to portray David Lee Roth is hard enough, and people expect the screams, and, you know, my voice just couldn't keep up. So I was having a lot of issues, tried a bunch of different things, and a friend of mine recommended Ultimate Ears, and I had no idea what Ultimate Ears was, and so I looked into it, and a friend of ours, Fred Curry from Cinderella, referred me to Jeanette Coffey here at Ultimate Ears, and so I came down to Irvine and checked out the products, ended up buying a pair of UE7 Pros, and it literally changed everything for me. You know, it took the pressure off of everything, because at that point, having in-ear monitors, let alone the best in-ear monitors out there, I was able to hear myself. And as a vocalist, what happens is when you can't hear yourself and when you're depending on those floor wedges, you start to oversing. And over the course of the night, as you oversing, you put too much pressure on those vocal cords, and you know, before you know it, your voice is gone. So
yeah, I feel you, man. I've done some singing, and I can say that you know, I would have loved to have some in-ear monitors to not have to sing over the band.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, and you know, and the other important factor too is you're saving your hearing. You know, we don't really care about it now. We're all young, and nothing can happen to us, but in 25, 30 years, when you can't hear, that's kind of a big deal. So, you know, when you're fully closed up with in-ear monitors, you're closing out a good 26 dB. So you're well within the safe zone and protecting your ears and not having the ringing of your ears. So to protect your ears is, you know, goes without saying. It's just so important. So, you know, for me, that's how I ended up. I was being introduced to Ultimate Ears. I used the product for quite some time, but what happened was it wasn't necessarily how great the product was and that I wasn't blowing my voice out anymore. It's the fact that UE just really took care of me. Anytime I needed something, I needed a backup cable or had an issue with a monitor, they did a really quick turnaround repair. And, you know, the customer service that the company provided me was second to none. It was almost like a Nordstrom's experience as you head on over to In-N-Out Burger. You know, if you go to In-N-Out, the service and the people there are friendly. And that's what I really got out of the Ultimate Ears company. And so being a believer in the product and someone that believes in good customer service for a company, I approached the team at Ultimate Ears and said, you know what, I'd be perfect to work here with you guys. I'm a musician. I'm using the product every weekend. Got a little corporate experience. You know, let me push this product for you. And so I've been here now working in artist relations with different bands for about 4 years now. So it's been life-changing all the way around for me. I can't say enough about Ultimate Ears and what they do and what they're all about.
Yeah, man, I think, you know, pretty much people can say that you're living the musician's dream. You know, you're in a successful band. You know, yeah, it's, you know, it isn't Van Halen itself, but you know, you're out there, you know, making a lot of people happy, bringing that joy. And you know, obviously, the original group doesn't play too often anymore, if at all, obviously. So you've got that, and then you've got this gig that is. You know, pretty enviable. You know, you get a chance to work with some of the top players because the people who use Ultimate Ears are the who's who in the business. They're really out there, you know, defining the business, and you get a chance to interact with these people and essentially, you know, help save their hearing so they can continue on doing what they're doing for a long time.
Yeah, I'm truly lucky with it. You know, some of the artists that, you know, they call in, you pick up the phone, you never know who it's going to be, and you know, I had a phone conversation with Don Felder, you know, previously of the Eagles, and literally just finished his autobiography, and had one conversation with John Oates from Hall & Oates, and I'm giving this guy advice on what type of in-ear monitor.
Pretty surreal, huh, man?
So, very, very surreal. So yeah, I feel pretty lucky to have be in the music profession, you know, all the way around in all my endeavors. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, man, that is pretty awesome. You know, kind of with that said, you know, where did that passion spark to be in this business? Where did you find that this is it for you? You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna play, you're gonna sing, and then you're gonna, if you have to, find alternate routes within the industry.
So I actually got into it, you know, completely different than your typical individual. What happened with me was in the mid-2000s, early 2000s, I went to an Atomic Punk show at the House of Balloons. And being a lifelong Van Halen fan, I had never seen a tribute band, and I had heard about the Atomic Punks for a few years, and went out and had a few of my friends with me, and it was my birthday. And the Atomic Punks came on stage and absolutely blew my mind. They blew my mind so much that when I was walking out to the parking lot that evening, of course, you know, I had a few alcoholic beverages in my system. I announced to my crew, my friends, my wife, that, you know what, I'm going to be in a Van Halen band. And they said to me, it's like, well, you kind of need to know how to sing, because at that point in my life, you know, in my early 30s, I had never sang a note.
Wow.
So from there, I went on and found a vocal coach and learned how to sing. And you know, I knew the classic Van Halen material, being a lifelong fan. And it was a matter of, well, can I figure out how to sing? And so I came at it from a different angle, got up to speed, found a band, joined them, and kind of did our thing for a few years. And a few years later, the Atomic Punks took notice, and their original singer, Ralph, went on and was doing Steel Panther full time. So they brought me in for an audition, and, you know, I ended up getting that gig, and I got the gig from the band that I initially went and saw, and made me want to be a musician.
Wow.
So it goes to show you never know what you can do, and you never know what you can do at what age you do it.
Exactly. So, I remember when I first started in the business in my early teens, they said, if you don't make it by 28, you might as well just pack it up and go sell insurance. And you definitely are a testament to that. You know, you don't even have to start until you're 30. And then next thing you know, your life is flourishing with performing, and you've got interactions with some of the greatest players and performers in the history of music, and that's pretty dang cool, man. And you know, and it sounds like you've been pretty tenacious with what you've wanted to do in life. You know, where did that, you know, how did you how did you build the confidence to basically just say, I'm going to do this? What was some of the things that triggered that? Because a lot of people, that's one of the things that they miss in this business, is that boldness to say, look, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make it happen.
I think you've got to be willing to go for it and put yourself out there. And you know, I've tried different things throughout my life and have failed at different things. And the one thing is, I've never been afraid to go out and try it. And I'd rather go out and fail at something that I tried, as opposed to, you know, not trying something and then wondering my whole life if I should have gone for it. So I've been willing to kind of take those steps and to go for it. And you know, it's not an easy thing. You know, it's especially in the music business. You know, it's the whole tribute band industry is a really different animal in itself. And you know, I feel really lucky to be a part of the band that I'm in. We've just you know, we've had a lot of musicians jump on stage with us. We just came off the Monsters of Rock cruise earlier this month, and you know, tribute bands don't get to go. Yeah, they don't get to go do that, and you know, we have artists jump up on stage with us. We had on the cruise Mike Tramp, who was the original singer of White Lion.
Oh yeah,
and he was there, and he jumped on stage, and you know, we've had Michael Anthony of Van Halen on stage with us.
That's awesome.
Zakk Wylde, the late Janie Lane. So we've had some people, and that's what kind of puts this band ahead of any of the other tribute bands, regardless of the band that they're paying tribute to, is you don't want to miss what's going to happen at an Atomic Punk show, because you never know who might just be there. So I feel real lucky to be a part of it and playing the great music of classic Van Halen. I mean, it's one of the best catalogs in rock in the history of music. So it's a pretty good deal. So if there's something out there that you want to do, don't be afraid. Just go and try it. It's the worst thing that happens.
For sure, for sure.
Doesn't work out.
We probably might know a few of the folks. I know a few of the folks that were doing the tribute band industry, that they still are. Rodney Elliott, Music Zirconia guys, and you know.
We're actually on Music. We're actually on Music Zirconia's roster. They get us gigs all the time. Yeah. So I'm very, very aware of Rodney and Music Zirconia. Yeah, and Brent, the owner's a good friend. So, and then of course we've done gigs with Mick Adams, really cool guy. So one of the Stones tribute. So. You know, it's definitely I just had Mick. I had Mick on my podcast about a month ago, and what an interesting guy he is. He does Mick Jagger justice, right?
Oh man, he's amazing. It really is, right there. You feel like you're right there with him. It was an incredible experience. You feel like, wow, you're singing along with us. We did a gig with him. Last gig we did was at the Coach House. So we're all for those folks who are listening here, not in the Southern California area. Coach House is a pretty cool venue that a lot of big names have played out at over in I think San Juan Capistrano is the actual area. San Clemente is. I always get those confused. Right. But yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty cool. And the cool thing that for you is that like you said, you're able to save your voice now that you've got these great inner ear monitors that you're using. Does the whole band use the inner ear monitors while you guys are on stage?
Actually, 3 of us do. The one individual within the band that doesn't is our guitar player, and we work with him on it. The problem is he's playing Edward Van Halen, and the Van Halen music with Eddie is all about tones and pedals, and he's got a lot of different things going on. And from time to time he'll mess with them. But our drummer is absolutely in ears. They always say that the first 2 guys to go into in-ear monitors within a band are always the singer and then the drummer. So both of us are in them, as well as our bass player, Joe. He uses them. And it's interesting for Joe and I, when we got into them, you become kind of a mad scientist, because at first you just want to hear yourself. Then when you realize that you can hear yourself, you start to tinker with what your mix is and what's going to make you a better performer. And the surprise for me is I feel like I've become just a much better vocalist, because I've been able to tinker with what I like in my mix, whether it's kick drum and hi-hat and a little bass and backing vocals and a little reverb on my vocals. And, you start to figure out all these different things that you could do with it. And it just makes you a whole better performer at it.
Yeah. Hey, we've got about 30 seconds left here in this particular segment. It goes by fast, doesn't it, Ryan? It's just amazing.
It does, right?
Yeah. Well, you have a podcast, so let's give a shout out to the URL, because if people just type in Ultimate Ears, they're going to go to the consumer speaker side. But for the headset side, where do they go?
Yeah. So if you just go to pro.ultimateears.com. That'll take you to where all of our in-ear monitors are, and you can see the whole line. And there's areas there that you can correspond with us and ask questions to the staff. And like I said, hey
Brian, I'm gonna cut you off here real quick, because the music's kicking in. This has been the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the mighty Intertalk Radio Networks. Thanks, Pitbull Audio, SIR. We'll be right back in a few short minutes. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith.
And Beth Venus
Of Girls Talk Rock, right here on the Enter Talk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Yeah, it is the second segment of the Changing Stage radio show, powered by the mighty EnterTalk Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in music business talk and the voice of the music industry. We are always like to give our thanks to our sponsors, Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. I really like these guys because their tagline, never let go, really kind of defines what we've been talking about today, about always keeping your dream alive and always pursuing it. Whether you are that lawyer that wants to play on the weekends and you go get your great guitar and bring it out there, or your cool microphone, or your in-ear monitors, or you are that just that new player, or even if you've been doing it in the business, we've got a lot of the professionals that come to Pitbull Audio. Of course, our good friends at SIR, speaking of professionals, SIR is the company that powers touring, also powers corporate audio, video, and lighting, but most people know them from their touring capabilities, and they provide all the backline and all the front of the house audio and all that fun stuff that goes along those lines. Showslinger at showslinger.com for those bands that are touring. Make sure you go get that Showslinger app and get your gig and get the money that comes along with that. And with that said, we've been talking with Brian Geller. I'm going to get that right. Not Brian Young, but Brian Geller.
There you go, my friend.
And Brian is one of those guys that, we just found out in this first segment that, he just seen something he wanted at the age of 30, decided, I'm going to have a career in the music business, and is now flourishing, has his own podcast, talking to the players of the industry, and out there just having the best time being Diamond Dave. So, that's very cool. And now, we've talked about how you've gotten connected to Ultimate Ears. Let's find out a little bit about the history of Ultimate Ears. How did it get started? Because it's still, like you mentioned, so personal, so interactive. They go out and do clinics. They did that at Pitbull Audio, where they did the in-ear custom fitting, and but they are also owned by a huge company. So they still keep that small company flavor, but within the resources and the respect of a large company. How did they get started, and how did that all kind of come about, where they became part of the Creative Labs folks?
Well, what happened was, and again, it's just for me and my personal journey, it's interesting how things come full circle. Because Ultimate Ears was created, it's been 20, 22 years around there, which kind of coincides with the how long the Atomic Punks have been around. And basically what happened was the original owner of Ultimate Ears was on tour with Van Halen.
Okay.
And what was going on with Van Halen is, as you can imagine, it's a very loud stage. And Alex Van Halen, who plays drums, was having a lot of issues with his hearing, and was working with his personal drum tech. And Alex Van Halen and his tech worked on the initial in-ear monitors. So that's kind of where it all started off, and just in a small shop in Las Vegas, and just branched out from there. and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And, as things go that do well out there, and, it was copied by many other companies. And about 7-8 years ago, we were bought by Logitech, which, as you had said when you were beginning your segment there.
Did I say Creative Labs is Logitech? Sorry. I said Creative Labs. My brain was thinking Logitech, but I said Creative Labs. So apologize, folks. If
no problem. It's actually Logitech. And the beauty about Logitech is we get the big company stamp behind the small shop mentality.
Yeah.
And it's great as far as our resources from where we're able to pull. But, more importantly with Ultimate Ears is we have a small shop mentality. You can get us on the phone. If you want to talk to me on the phone.
That's crazy talk, by the way, man. Talking to somebody on the phone is crazy talk.
Yeah, not a machine, not an automated thing. You'll actually find us, and it's the process with in-ear monitors. With a lot of the other companies, a lot of companies make in-ear monitors that are pretty good out there. Where we're going to stand out is our lead times, our digital experience, and the fact that we're with our customers after you receive your product. We don't disappear. We're there for you as a lifelong partner. So that's kind of the small shop type mentality that a lot of people were a little bit concerned about when we were purchased by Logitech and where that was gonna take Ultimate Ears. But it's definitely been a great match for both companies.
Yeah. Now, with the technology, starting off as a touring tech and everything, the founder, how has what is the kind of the life cycle of where the technology has grown, and what are some of the things that set Ultimate Ears apart from all of its competitors? Because it is the leader. There's bar none. You
Correct.
guys are setting the standard, and bar is really high, and a lot of companies are trying, but I don't know if they're succeeding as well as definitely not succeeding as well as you guys are.
Well, my friend, like I say, in-ear monitors with Ultimate Ears is like a Van Halen tribute band. There always seems to be one popping up somewhere in the world each and every week. So it's just a matter of how long they can hold on, and it's great to be the leader, in the industry, and it's neat to see the progress of the industry, and being the leader of the industry just in the few years that I've been a part of the team here. I mean, back in the day, you'd send out an impression kit to the customer, and they would make their own, ear molds, and then those would be sent in, and in-ear monitors would be built from that. And then as time goes by, audiologists become involved, audiologists or individuals that work in the hearing aid industry. So audiologists started to do the impressions for us and other in-ear monitor companies, and that's been kind of the norm for quite some time. And now we've taken the approach and been the leader in this technology where it's all about 3D. And what we do, we do scanning. So we actually do a scan of the client's ear, and from that digital file, we're now able to make in-ear monitors. So when you're dealing with customers or say our dealers that are international that have the scanners, they can actually scan their client in Germany, and then within 20 minutes, I can have that scan of their customer's ear impression in my lab, and the order is started. Whereas, not too long ago, that same dealer in Germany would have to take a physical impression with their audiologist, get those impressions from their personal audiologist, hop it in Federal Express or UPS, send it to us, and then we have to wait to get the impressions, check the impressions, make sure that they're okay, and then it goes through the cycle of making the order. So we've cut the lead times, virtually in half, and we're also making a lot better in-ear monitor with this digital technology. So it's a lot of fun to see where things are going, and there's definitely some surprises that'll be unveiled in the upcoming years and where this whole industry is going.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I think you brought up a really good point. There are a number of locations, at least around the U.S. That's where our biggest listening audience is. And although we do have people in Germany and South Africa, we have them all over. But specifically here in Southern California, Pitbull Audio is where they actually have one of the scanning machines. That's what you guys were doing out there, was going through and doing a big clinic on getting prepared and getting your ears set for these in-ear monitors. How many of the locations around the country do you have scanning machines?
It's still a new technology that we've just unveiled in the last couple of years, and we've done kind of slow rollout to larger scale dealers throughout the country as well as worldwide. But there's probably a couple dozen, 3 dozen out there that have it, and we'll still accept physical impressions that come from audiologists. And what we do with those is even more interesting. If you have a physical impression, when that physical impression arrives here at the Ultimate Ears Lab, we'll take that impression, we'll actually scan it here. So we'll have a digital scan of that impression. So the impressions that we receive now are good forever.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
As opposed to a few years ago, physical impressions, they only last a couple of years before they start to lose shape. And if you come back and like to order again, you have to go through the process again. So this kind of saves a big step for the customer, because it's a big expense for a musician, and typically the musician looks at this aspect of the venture, and being a musician is one of the last things you do. So when you have to talk about going to pick out your monitors and go to an audiologist and get the impressions and send them in and wait for them to get there, it requires some patience. And so by going with the 3D technology, we've saved a lot of the time and made it a lot easier and made a better product while doing it at the same time.
Yeah. I think that is the key, that you're building lifelong relationships with these musicians and helping them to have longevity in their careers, and also be able to perform better. Just simply, be able to hear, if you're on pitch. You kind of mentioned the Scream Fest. It was funny. I got up with Benny Wrightfield from Santana and did Smooth over at the House of Blues. At their stage where they have the cover band. And anyway, long story short, the mix was terrible on stage, and it basically, that's the first part of that song, you're almost speaking it, the verses, and my guitar player who was in the audience, he's like, "You just sound like Angry Tino," screaming Smooth,
right?
Sound like Fred Fox trying to get the tone out. So
it was coming to get you, Elizabeth, right?
So
that's the thing. I mean, the one thing. I mean, even if you. At this level, you play some venues and you get a great engineer and you get an awesome mix, and then you play the other venues where you're asking your guitar player, how did this guy get this job mixing sound here? Yeah. And at least when you've got in-ear monitors and you've got that bad sound engineer, you're at least going to get through the night, and you're going to be able to hear yourself.
Yeah, that is. But you brought up a key point. This is a real investment, because it's not something like you're not going down and buy a $14 set of earbuds over at Fry's. This is a real investment, and you've got different models that are out there. Like you've got the UE5, 7, 11, 18. And then you've got a 900 that's a little bit more cost effective. What are some of the differences between these models?
Well, we kind of break it out into some real simple areas. We have a reference remaster that we did in conjunction with Capitol Studios in Hollywood. And that in-ear monitor is more of a studio monitor, more of a flat response, something to use in the studio. Or if you're a musician that's maybe playing the keys and, you don't want any enhancements, that's a nice in-ear monitor to use. Then, we have a couple in-ear monitors that, that work well with your rhythm section, with your bass players and your drummers, and have a little bit more low end to it. You talk about the UE18s, which is our flagship model, which has 6 drivers in each ear that just has crazy detail. Guitarists like them, singers like those. So there's kind of, there's one for everybody. We've got the UE4 that's more of a introductory model that goes for $399 that sounds great. It's going to sound, way better than anything that's a universal fit out on the market, and, kind of at least get you into the game. So, and, one of the things I always tell people is, you might get a guy that just immediately calls up and says, I want the UE18s. Those are the best ones. And what our staff is trained to discuss with our customers is, the 18s, even though they're the most expensive, those might not be the best model for you. You might not need that much. Yeah, I mean, for me as a singer, I prefer the UE7s, which is, price wise is right in the middle. It's a basic one low, one mid, and one high in each ear. And I find that the 18s as a vocalist provide a little bit too much from what I like. So there's no right or wrong answer to what you should be using. Everybody has their tastes, and everybody has specifics on what they want to hear when they're performing, because it's different. It's not like you're listening to your iPod and just listening to for pleasure. You're on stage, and it's different than what you would have if you were at the gym on the treadmill.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes a difference. Although you do have a line of audiophile headphones, so if you're going to listen to MP3s, at least you can have it enhanced with UE technology, for sure. So. Oh yeah, I mean, I use my UE18s every single day in the gym while I'm running. You got to stay in David Lee Roth shape, especially at my age. So I run every day. The in-ear monitors are great for that. They're even better for when you're on the plane traveling. It's you with the fit that you get, you can actually pop these into your ears at LAX and not take them out of your ears until you land on the East Coast. They're that comfortable. They block out everything, and they sound amazing. Yeah. We've got about 45 seconds left in this segment. We gave a shout out to the pro.ultimateears.com website. Let's give a little Atomic Punk promotion. What is the website they can kind of find out a little bit more about you at?
Yeah, so you can check out the Atomic Punks, the typical website thing at www.theatomicpunks.com, and we're on Facebook, Twitter, just under the Atomic Punks, and we interact a lot with the social media with the band. So yeah, check it out, and also YouTube. Probably a couple hundred videos on there of the band, so
that is
all
awesome.
A good time.
Get your Van Halen fix on, and then go out and see them for sure whenever they're in your area, because they're out touring and making that happen. We've got another segment coming up after this, and we're going to talk a little bit about the industry and the dynamics of the industry. This has been the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the mighty EnterTalk Radio Network, the worldwide leader in music business talk and the voice of the music biz. We are going to give a big thanks again to Pitbull Audio, SIR at SIR-USA.com, our good friends at Show Slinger, and I also want to give a shout out to Meng and Band Labs, because those guys are rocking and they're a good sponsor of ours. We'll be right back in a few short minutes.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on EnterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Yeah, that is right. Right. This is the third segment of the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty Intertalk Radio Networks, the voice of the music industry, and really the place if you want to find out more about the music business, how to have a relevant career, or just enjoy being behind the scenes, that velvet rope lifted so you could be part of the whole scene. That's what the Intertalk Radio is all about. And we've been talking with one of the guys that is out there making it happen as a performer, as a business professional. Mr. Brian Geller from UE, as well as the Atomic Punks, is on with me. And we've been having a great time, man. I'm loving what I'm hearing, brother. So I really want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Definitely. And, funny thing is, during the commercial breaks, it's always kind of all the cool things kind of come up in the behind the scenes, in the cut stuff. So I want you to share a little bit about what we were talking about. You've had the experience to where, you're out on tour, or you're in a spot where one of these top professionals is using the UE products, and what, and being able to kind of experience what they're experiencing. Tell us a little bit about what you were telling me in the break.
Yeah, so it's kind of a fun thing, the Atomic Punks. We kind of cross over. We had done the Monster Rock, and we're on the side of the stage and watching. You were talking about Billy Sheehan earlier. Billy Sheehan and the Winery Dogs, and hearing what they're all about. But I had an experience a couple months back where my wife and I were in Las Vegas. We actually have Rod Stewart and Billy Idol as clients at Ultimate Ears. And so Friday night we went to the Rod Stewart show, and it was amazing. Did the whole tour of the stage, backstage area, had a great time. And then the next night we went to House of Blues, where Billy Idol has his residency. And the Billy Idol family there, they took care of us, and we actually ended up watching the show from the stage, on the side of the stage where the board is. So we're having a good time, and Billy Idol, next thing you know, is standing right next to my wife. My wife's like, "Oh my God, Billy Idol's right there." I'm like, "Yeah, this is cool." So anyway, so the guy that was handling the in-ear monitor mix for Billy Idol and the boys says to me, he's like, "Do you have your ears with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I got a couple Sennheiser packs. You guys want to hear Billy's mix?" So we actually got to experience a House of Blues show on the side of the stage in our UE18s with a Sennheiser pack, and it was Billy Idol's mix. So all you could hear was Billy Idol's vocals coming through. So for me to experience it was unbelievable. For my wife to experience it, who's not a musician, to hear something like that, she was out of her mind. And it was such a neat thing to be a part of. And even when he would go backstage to change costumes, you could hear him having conversations backstage. So it was pretty fun. Very glad I had my 18s with me that night.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, a happy wife, especially in Las Vegas, means happy time. So that's all good.
Absolutely. That's right, man.
So, and you've had a chance to kind of see the transition of the industry happen, and you've seen the transition from, loud, floor monitors and side fields to, kind of looking at, as you mentioned, saving that ear, being able to hear the clarity with the in-ear monitors. Tell me, what's your thoughts about where the industry is going from the technological side and what UE's philosophies for the future are, and then also just in general, how the dynamics of not being able to sell a CD anymore and being able to drive, income, how that pushes touring more and how that affects the industry.
Well, a lot. Okay. There are plenty of themes on all of this. So as far as where what we have planned and what's going on in the industry, the question that we get a lot of is the Bluetooth technology, and where that's going. And that's something that, everybody's kind of working on and it's definitely the future, I would say, of the industry.
Do you think it's going to be stable enough with the Bluetooth technology? I came from a background in the phone business. I used to work for Microsoft and Nokia. And, I wasn't always sold on Bluetooth. So what's your thoughts on that? I kind of want to delve into that.
My thought is it's not ready yet.
Yeah. That's,
it's interesting for us because our clientele, you've got your musicians, but, we have a lot of audio files out there. And then you've got, your segment that are your businessman type traveler and want high quality earphones to listen to. So, we get the questions on the Bluetooth, we get the questions on the whole Apple deal with the cable and so forth, and our thoughts and our take as a company is service. We don't think we need to have 12 drivers in each ear. We don't think, more drivers is going to make our product better. There's, how many do you actually need? So we want to focus on what we do because we do this well. We provide great customer service. We've been an industry leader and, we're there for the customer for the entire journey from start to finish. Yeah. So we're not looking at, changing the wheel, so to speak. We want to do what we do. We want to do well. And we have the philosophy that, getting better has no finish line. There's always something we can do better. There's always something that we can learn about ourselves and try to take it to the next level. It's all about just not being comfortable with where you're at. What can you do to make yourself better? What can you do to make the company that you're part of better?
Yeah, I think so, and I agree because that's why you guys are the leaders. That's why this isn't your one size fits all type of earbud. This is very serious investment of tools for your craft and what's going on and the dynamics. But yeah, I didn't mean to kind of derail that, but I did look at Bluetooth technology being interesting, but I don't see that, as you mentioned, I don't see it's quite there yet. I think they got to work on those radio stacks a little bit. And
I think the bigger issue at hand in the music industry all the way around is how are musicians going to make a living selling their music? When you brought that up with CDs, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. It's, as a tribute band vocalist, we're cheating the whole system right there. We're going out and we're playing a proven catalog. We just do it real well, and we don't say that we're Van Halen. We just pay tribute to it and acknowledge how great it is. But if we were a band that was pushing some of our original music right now, it's a nightmare. There's no answer to it, and I almost feel like some years have to go by and to where the whole music industry has a complete reboot.
I agree.
New music with new generations. Kind of like Led Zeppelin. Going back to all the old blues tunes.
Yeah.
You know, how they touched upon that when they first came out. And, you know, that was music that had been out 30, 40, 50 years prior that, you know, they reinvented, you know, and put their spin on it. So it almost feels like that type of thing, that type of renaissance needs to happen with all genres of music, because I tell you, man, there's not a lot of new music that comes out that I really like. You have to actually work to find music that you're digging, you know, and it's out there.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to go get it.
Well, the challenge is there's so much music out there. Trying to get to that gem of a tune or gem of a group, that's the challenge. I think musicianship is actually, you know, most people frown on the musicianship nowadays. I think, to a certain degree, it's gotten better. Well, at least it's gotten more precise. The days of you know, like we'll use the Rolling Stones, Wild Horses, and his slightly pitchy vocal performance. That made that song. You know, if I hear anybody else and they do it, on pitch, it just doesn't say it to me, because it doesn't have the brokenness that his performance had when he sang that song. But you have to now be able to nail it because of, with Melodyne and all the other fun stuff. You got to know that you can hit those notes, live, as well as how it, transpired in the studio. And then of course, YouTube, and you can get your lessons, at the click of a button now, without having to worry about going down to your local music store, which, also is another change in the dynamic. There's not as many teachers anymore because people are getting their lessons online. So you get it a lot more regular, just not as, I guess, personal as getting it. So there's ups and downs, but I think that the spirit sometimes gets lost in this current climate of the industry. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely. Music for me growing up was visual too. It was holding the album, taking out the records out of their sleeve, and examining every aspect of my purchase and the name of the band. I look at some of these bands and the ridiculous names that they come out with, and I want a front man that is performing. That want these guys up there that are into it, that can play the music, that are something visually to see, that put costume flair to it. I know I'm probably showing my age, but it's the visual aspect period is really missing in today's music, and the oversaturation of social media and trying to figure out what's good, what's bad, and you've got all the music shows, and I don't envy the young musicians coming up today. No,
there's definitely something that needs to be found before it's there. It's kind of like Bluetooth technology. It works, just not quite.
It is. And
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Without a doubt, I do a thing on my podcast where I try to. It's an artist spotlight, and I'll have some UE bands on there, and some bands that are more well known. But I always try to get some of the up and coming bands that are trying to get a start, and I found a band that's a UE client that I'm going to put on my artist spotlight for my next week's episode, and they're called Cease Fire, and I really dug these guys. They were kind of a cross if Coldplay and U2 had a baby, or even twins. It sounds like this, something hashed a little bit, but it's nice to hear a song that's out, that's new, that's from a younger generation that you get excited about, because it just doesn't happen too often.
Exactly. I think that's the case. And, kind of one of the main things right now for generating a living is touring. And I think that's why UE is so important in the dynamics of the industry, because, like you said, you got to save those ears if you want to be able to have a lifetime in this business. In fact, we just had Ian Pace from Deep Purple, who's been doing one of the godfathers of heavy metal. So they played things pretty loud back in the day, and there wasn't this type of technology or focus on losing your hearing. He's been fortunate. He's been able to, he's still going strong. But he was on the Vinyl Night radio show with J.R. Robinson. Same as plugged by me right now for one of my shows on the network. But
wow.
yeah, Ian Pace was amazing stories. And you want to have that kind of career. You want to have that kind of longevity in the business. And I think that's really important. And speaking of that, with longevity, and kind of jump back to UE, what are some of the plans for the future that you can tell everybody without having to use one of the Men in Black mind erasing probe things that they have? So tell us a little bit about what's the future hold for UE.
Well, I can't really divulge into anything right now. There's a few things that are in the works and that we're really excited about. All I could say is keep checking back in with Ultimate Ears at pro.ultimateears.com. As we've proven before, we're the leaders in the industry. What we start, the others will follow, and there's some good things coming up.
Yeah. And if obviously, make sure you get that lifetime ear fitted, because you never know when you're going to need to get some and when you're going to need to get the next generation of ones. And go down to Pitbull Audio. They have one of these machines that are not as easy to find just yet, because it's a new technology and it's an amazing process that you guys did. I was down there when that was happening, and I just they were scanning, they were teaching all the team members how to do it, and it is really cool. And even if you don't have them, I suggest everybody go down to.
Yeah, you definitely want to go to ultimateears.com. We do have a dealer locator that'll guide you and take you to the closest person. That is a dealer / audiologist / scanner. You pop in your zip code, your address, and they'll guide you to the proper location. You can always call in to Ultimate Ears, and we'll let you know where you can go to. And of course, we're always at NAMM. Before you know it, NAMM will be here in January.
I know it's coming up quick.
Pretty big. Right. In fact, here at Ultimate Ears, we just had our first big NAMM meeting this past week, and it's just unbelievable to think that we're already talking about another NAMM. It feels like it's just the last one just ended.
Yeah, right. It does. In fact, we're going to have a pretty big presence there at the NAMM show, and we want to invite you back again to talk about some of the things that you guys are going to be talking about. So we definitely broadcast from the media center, but there's a good chance that we're going to actually be on the floor and having a start to finish live broadcasting. We got about a minute left in this show. It's gone way too fast, Brian. I really appreciate you being on here, and I really appreciate UE for connecting us up and making this happen. And we definitely will support you guys 100%. 45 seconds, man. Give us your last thoughts for the listeners. What do you want them to know from this point?
If you're a musician, you got to be in ears. Suck it up, pay the money, protect your hearing, make yourself a better musician, call Ultimate Ears, check out the website, pro.ultimateears.com. Again, my name is Brian. You can talk to me. I can guide you with what you need, what you don't need. And, when I got my in-ears, I did everything wrong and then figured out how to do it right. So, let me help you, guide you through the process and the right way to do it. So, again, you can check out pro.ultimateears.com, The Atomic Punks, also my podcast, Cover Your Ears, which is at cyepodcast.com.
Awesome. Well, that has been another Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty Intertalk Radio Network, the voice of the music biz. We'll be back next week again, same time, Fridays at 12 p.m. PST. Make sure you tune in. Also tune in to Jackie's Groove, Vinyl Night, Sound Experience, Girls Talk Rock, and Making It. Thank you very much.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?